So, hello class, this is COMM 1315 Mass Common Society. I'm Kathryn Brough. I'm a public relations major, but one of my goals in life is to be a worship leader. It's something I've been doing for 2 years, so I look forward to it. So with that, I'm interviewing Mark Swayze via Skype, as you can see on the screen. He's from San Antonio, Texas. He leads worship at University United Methodist Church in San Antonio since 2005. He plays at different summer camps through the conference I'm in, and he's a really awesome worship leader, and he's going to be telling you a little bit about himself, and then we're going to start with the questions. So Mark, can you tell me a little bit about what you do as a worship leader?
Yeah, I'm a worship leader here in San Antonio, as you said, at a church called University United Methodist Church. I also do a lot of, or try to do a lot of songwriting, different writing of songs for different churches or events or camps to sing at or to play at. I also have a group of, they're a band, but really like a ministry team of people that travel with me around the city, around the state, and around the country. And we're moving to try to do that more on a national level in the coming years. So always continuing to grow from working at a local church to expanding out to more of sort of a national influence for churches, ministries, conferences, and things like that.
Awesome. Can you tell me a little bit before I go on with the questions about Lauren's Table?
Yeah, we have a foundation called Lauren's Table, which is a foundation that runs. Basically, what we do as artists or as a worship leader is when we make albums and we sell those albums, every penny that we get from the profit of those albums goes into a foundation called Lauren's Table. And the quick story behind Lauren's Table is when my daughter was 4, she had seen a television show where there were hungry kids and asked me about how to help them. I didn't have an answer for her, so she came up with, at the age of 4, an idea to bring them all to our house, and she has like a little white table in our kitchen. She was going to feed them all the hungry kids in the world. So that was her 4-year-old way of solving kind of world poverty. What we did was we ended up creating a foundation called Lauren's Table after that table in the kitchen. And when we have sold an album in the last 1.5 years, 2 years, all of the proceeds have gone to that foundation. So as of today, April the 2014, we support an orphanage in Costa Rica. We've sent about 50,000 meals to Zimbabwe. We've sent about 50,000 meals to the Dominican Republic. And we fund a Christmas program for a small town here in Texas. We want to stay local, national, and then global was kind of the hope of Lauren's Table. So you can check out more at Lauren's Table at laurenstable.org.
Awesome. And I'll put a link to his website and Lauren's Table at the end of the video.
Nice.
Alright, so I'm going to start ahead on the questions. They are geared toward more advertising, PR, and broadcasting majors, but I think they'll be able to apply to you a little bit. So awesome. The first question is, how has social media changed your profession?
Yeah, great. So social media is, I think it's changed everybody's profession. Social media is the new platform for communicating to your audience. Guys like Seth Godin or other authors will call it your tribe. But basically what you do, no matter kind of what you do, what your profession is, most people have a tribe of people or an audience of people that they're trying to communicate something to, whether they're leading a movement or they're marketing a product in business. So social media has sort of changed things and allowed people, anybody who has access to the internet, to have a platform to speak to the tribe of people that will listen, or the audience that listens. So for me as a worship leader and as a founder of Lauren's Table, what I can do is I can use social media to communicate to a group of people. I can use social media to lead people to an event, a concert or event or camp that I'm leading to. I can use social media to encourage people through a devotional or through a blog. I can use social media to connect people to information about the foundation or connect people one-on-one, so through Facebook messaging or email or stuff like that. So social media has kind of created platforms for anybody that has access to the internet, which, as we know, is expanding across the globe. So everyone has sort of platforms and a tribe or audience of people they're trying to communicate to. So it's definitely changed the game when it comes to public relations and communicating.
Awesome, thank you. So the second question is, what are some positive changes you have noticed in the new age of media?
Well, I don't know if it's a new age of media that the positive changes, but there's definitely been a generation of, there seems to be a generation, and I don't know if you call them millennials. I think millennials are defined sort of after the birth of, after the year 1980, but this sort of generation of people that care a lot about justice in the world, and I've found it really interesting the way that social media has sort of gathered those voices together to be able to communicate, gather together, and meet up in different places. I think of things like Invisible Children that have done great impact, but there's been a lot of things. I mean, there are people in the Ukraine right now talking to other people in other places of the world, and they're able to talk about what's going on in their country. So it definitely, the goodness of it is this ability to kind of communicate and bring together people from all over the world to have conversations where they wouldn't otherwise, or it would be harder to have just on a telephone or through slow mail.
Awesome. Do you know of any negative changes that could have been brought about?
I mean, I think the negative changes are with it in general is that everyone sort of has to create their identity online, and so what you end up doing is you take the most positive areas of your life and you blast that on the internet, and people are sort of living these false identities online of that life is great all the time, and here's another selfie of me smiling. And so you kind of lose some of the authenticity and the reality of sorrow and things that are hard in life that people don't really get to see unless you're in some sort of smaller group of people outside of social media. So there's a bit of a danger with kind of creating your identity online, because the truth is none of our identity online is actually really all of who we are. So if you look at my Facebook page, there's a lot of pictures of me leading worship and smiling and going to church events, but that's not my life. That's a part of my life, but it's not all of my life. And so people will then go online, look at that, and think that's who Mark Swayze is, when the truth is it's not. Mark, I struggle just as much as anybody. I try to figure out why there's pain in the world and why there's pain in my own life, and so there's no real big difference. But that's the one of the things that scares me about it, is that people are starting to say, if my identity is what people see on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, then it's always happy, it's always positive, when the truth is life is painful.
Awesome. I love that response. Okay, so how does your media, and in your case, it would be your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and of course your music, how does it influence culture, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'll tell two stories, and they all happened within the last about 14 days. One is there's a rehab center for drug and alcohol near Kerrville, Hunt area, and I just got a story from a lady that works there who said that a drug and alcohol patient came into her facility about a month ago, sat down, and one of the first questions they ask is, what made you change to come and get rehab work, and or to come and want to get help? And her response was, a friend sent me a song by this artist, musician, Mark Swayze, called Satisfy. I listened to it and kept listening to it and realized that I needed to change my life. Well, that lady knew me, called me, and was freaking out, but just how one song can change or can lead someone to change is pretty incredible. The second story is I just got about 2 days ago. It's a newsletter from a missionary in Delhi, India, and he's had a really rough year with some medical issues as he works in India, and he mentions at the end of his newsletter a song that he just recently heard called "No Matter How Far" from an artist in the States, which is a song that I wrote called "No Matter How Far," and he quotes it as being an inspiration for him as he struggles through medical issues in India. And so both of those stories are sort of this unbelievable ability that music has, especially not just in worship genre, I think music anywhere, but music has this ability to communicate, encourage people in areas of their heart and of their mind and of their spirit that just normal conversation doesn't have. And so for me, I think that you can use songs, I think that you can use just words of inspiration or affirmation or words of encouragement on social media, and you never know where those seeds are being thrown or being planted, but they have this possibility and opportunities that I'm realizing. I don't know how this girl got a song, and I don't know how this missionary got a song in India, but somehow they did, and it was encouraging to them. And so for me, it makes me keep wanting to write, keep wanting to sing and play and lead, because if I can be encouragement to people that are really struggling in different areas of their life, then that's pretty incredible. So that's why I do it.
It's actually my favorite song, guys. You should check it out, No Matter How Far. Alright, so how can a person looking into a career in your field begin? In this case, it's worship leading and ministry. So how could they begin in your field?
I think with anything in front of people on a stage, it's about experience and it's about practice. It's about the opportunity of doing it. I think that you probably have, and I know that you have with the church and with prior ministry, have had the opportunity to get on stage and to lead worship. I've looked back over the last 10 years of doing this, and I've realized that I've led, 500 to 700 services in that time period. I've been on stage and led for a lot of events past that on Sunday mornings, and so you put in thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into something you love, and you just get better at it. There are opportunities sort of open up for you. So that's sort of the answer to anything you want to do. Like what you have to say, all right, well, my dream is to become a doctor, or my dream is to become a teacher, or my dream is to become a worship leader, or whatever it is that your end goal is, then you start to work toward that with your time. Like, time is the ultimate exchange of your life to do what you want. And so if you put more time into learning what that looks like and doing those things, then worship leading, and the advice I would give to you is that when I look back 10 years ago at who I was as a musician, as a songwriter, as a leader, and then I look at who I am now, and I go, I can't believe how much.
Mark, you're cutting it on me a bit. I'm losing you.
No problem. Wait, do I need to call back?
No, I can hear you now.
Okay, well, let me finish up. I would just say that I think that with time, I think that you just for you, if you can get plugged in and you can continue to move towards this with areas, whether it's a church or with a small group of people at a college or something, that you can keep practicing. You're going to get better at it, and you're going to have opportunities to continue to do it.
Awesome. So that's it for the interview. This is Mark Swayze. You're about to leave to another church, is that correct, to Woodlands?
Yeah, I'm headed to Houston, the Woodlands. It's a church about, it's north of Houston area.
And it's a pretty big church. So thank you, Mark, for your time. I'm going to continue on with the video after I cut it. But I'll give you more information on Mark Swayze's website, on his band, and about his nonprofit Lawrence Table. Thank you, Mark, for your time. It has been awesome interviewing you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right,
bye. Bye. For more information on Mark Swayze and his band, visit markswayze.com. Here you can find info and bios on the band members, as well as their Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook accounts.
There's also a page for a blog written by a fellow team member based on scripture and is a good read. The topics vary from blog to blog, but are always interesting. You can also find information on his music and purchase t-shirts or other items from the store. For more information on Lawrence Table, the nonprofit he created, visit lawrencetable.org. Here you can find information on how it started and the story behind it. On the homepage, you can find world hunger facts that are interesting and pretty cool to read through. To donate, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and if you'd like, you can purchase his album, This Album Feeds Children by Mark Swayze Band. It's $10 and available on his website store or on iTunes. Or if you just want to give it a listen, it's available on Spotify. 100% of proceeds go to Lawrence Table. This has been Kathryn Brough interviewing the one and only Mark Swayze. Thank you for watching.